I just brought it up a couple times. Then it says Garrett also stated that I think that this was Boo Honda. Told her he was involved in carjacking and petty theft when he was younger. And then Sergeant Garza told her he had used a car to run over the legs of a man who had been abusing a woman. And I remember that I laughed, ha ha, over the one thing. And then I remember when Garza said the other thing, I was kind of, how do I respond to that? I didn't really laugh because I think I was shocked, and probably he was just not even telling me the truth. And she told the SAs that she had, because they were asking what's the worst thing you've ever done. And so to try to get me to say what is the very worst thing that I'd ever done that I could think of. And this is after I was totally drunk, by the way. And all of a sudden they're popping out these questions. What's the worst thing you've ever done? Okay, but I'm supposed to think that they're not in any way connected to Dick Whittemore, John Camp, or somebody who wants to find out what the dirt is on me for these lawsuits, right? You know, I just filed one against some federal judges, including Judge Janice Wilson, I believe, was maybe listed on that. You know, she's not connected to the FBI or anything. So they're asking me what the worst thing that I've ever done was. And then they told me what they had done. And then I think that was to encourage me to feel comfortable sharing with them. And I told them the truth. I told them that the worst thing I had ever done is I mooned a sailboat when I was 11 years old. And I was not being cute or whatever, and they actually didn't think it was cute at all. I think one of them looked like very shocked. I said, why would you get the idea to moon a sailboat? And, well, of course, you know, everybody's got some, a relative or cousin or two in the family that introduces you to interesting things. So, of course, I was with my cousins and my brother, and we were at a lake, and I'd never seen anybody moon anything my entire life. And then she came over from Spokane, Washington. Which is supposed to be a, you know, really conservative place to live. Very family friendly. And she came over to visit for a summer with another cousin that came over to visit for a summer. And we were outside, and she encouraged me to moon, to ditch our swimsuits off in the bank discreetly. I mean, after we were already in the water. And once we were out there skinny dipping, you couldn't tell because the water was so murky. It was at Montlake Park. And if you've ever been to Montlake Park and you've seen the water, you know what I mean. So we put him off at the banks, and then we were out in the water, and then the sailboat went by, and she started to moon it, and she told me to moon it, and so I was just kind of, you know, did what my cousin did. And then the police came. So that's why I thought it was the worst thing I'd ever done in my life, because the police really did show up in Moses Lake, Washington. And then all of a sudden she freaked out, and she said, oh, we have to go get our swimsuits. So then we shimmied all the way down back to the banks to get our swimsuits and put them on discreetly, and while the police were talking to my brother and my other male cousin, and we were worried we were going to go to jail for mooning a sailboat, because we knew that those sailboat people had reported us. And I still remember that she was wearing a white bikini. It was a sailboat, and she was wearing a solid white bikini. And my memory is sometimes very good. And so she called the police, or they called the police, and reported this. And then all of a sudden the police drove off, and my cousin and I went over to the other cousin and my brother, and we said, what did you tell them? And they said, oh, the police came over and said, well, we got a report that there were a couple of girls mooning, or young women mooning sailboats. Did you see anything like that? And my other cousin, must have been so smart, I can't believe he came up with this idea to lie like he did, because I wouldn't have been able to do it. And he said, yes, there were some girls here, but they already left. And they left just a little while ago. And the officers accepted that and then drove off. And then my brother was able to use that incident as blackmail against me all the way up until I was probably 18 years of age. I mean, I was so afraid that if he told my parents or told anyone about that I could still go to jail. I was worried that I could be hauled into jail by the police for mooning a sailboat. So all the way up through high school, I was effectively blackmailed by that, because I did believe that it was a very bad thing that I had done. Well, I mean, I didn't think it was that bad personally, but that maybe was a big no-no. So that was a true statement. That was the year 2004, and if they'd wanted some dirt on me, maybe that's why they didn't like my response, because it wasn't, wasn't criminal sounding enough. So I had no criminal record. I had no criminal motives or ideas, and there's nothing wrong with me. And all of a sudden, after 2004, this was, November of 2004, they definitely tried to change all of that very fast. So then going to paragraph 13, Garrett said she was talking, she said she was talking about having a hole in her knee because there was a piece of donor cartilage that had not filled in. This was after I had been a victim of a hit and run where the guy targeted my car and ran into me and then drove off laughing. And I had injured my knee very badly, and that was where I had waited a really long time for a surgery, and I was in excruciating pain, and then finally they did do the surgery. But by that time, that surgery was done in 2003, and or later in 2003. And by the time that I met these SSAs, about an entire year had passed, and the x-ray that I had had confirmed that the donor bone had not completely filled in or solidified as it does. Sometimes it takes a while, but it had taken an entire year for this. For me, the process wasn't complete, which means typically if it hasn't healed up yet, that you can expect to still be in some kind of pain, and I was actually in pain. I was nauseous. I went off of my painkillers from that surgery way too fast. I was really trying to get off of them because I didn't want it to slow down my mind because I was in college. But because I was in such pain and I still needed them, I was really feeling kind of woozy and sick sometimes because of trying to ignore my pain level. And, being that kind of a person, it makes being called a drug addict highly insulting, because I'm the type of person that I didn't even use aspirin if I had a headache, like a tension headache, in high school. I refused to use any kind of medication. Didn't drink coffee even. I mean, I value being able to have my body and mind working without any additives. I'm a little more relaxed now. I drink coffee, caffeine, that kind of thing, but I'm still sort of the same way, too. So I was talking about that, how it had not filled in, and then Garza made some sort of reference to having intercourse by circling one of his index fingers and thumb, and then I slapped him on the cheek. He didn't just make some sort of a reference. So they're making it sound like he had just, they're making it sound like he made some kind of like okay sign, and then I went off the handle and slapped him or something. No, he made a statement about that hole hasn't filled. I mean, he made a statement about my having a hole. And then he made a gesture with that. It was a sexual gesture. So we had already been drinking, and I playfully slapped him on the cheek. It wasn't like I got mad and slapped him. I kind of did this little